Now, you touched on something, that belief, that belief in yourself. Like, where does that come from? Like, that belief, like, beyond your circumstances?
That's a great question. I think some people are born with that. I think some people are just born with being able to believe in themselves. I think it's something that we can work on and get better at and cultivate. But I think part of that is just that drive. I think part of it is a drive. Like, I look at my mom, she's 50 something, and she was recently laid off for work, and now she's going back to college. And like, she hasn't been in school in years. And one of the things that I was just with her the other day, helping her, she has to take a placement test for her writing. And she's just like, she's on it. Like, she's just practicing every day. She's going to tutoring, and she's just, so I feel like I get some of my drive from her. And so I feel like it could be genetic and things like that.
Do you think that could be learned? Do you think it could be learned?
I think it can be learned. But I think it's also genetic too. I think it's also, some people have that drive. And sometimes it has to do with your generation. Like, this generation, my friend Mateo, who's about 10 years younger than me, I always tell him, and I tell the people that I'm friends with, that mentor me, that, you know, I love the fact that I see them 22, 23 years old doing their thing, being a photographer, being a podcaster, because at 22, 23, I wasn't doing that.
I want to talk about the love of money chapter.
Okay.
Because, you know, in that, you know, that hit me, you know, when it comes to gaining any kind of wealth, the reason you want to gain it is more important than actually gaining it. And you start talking about intention. So I wanted to know with that, so in gaining wealth, you have to more so think of the reason why the wealth and not necessarily the wealth.
I think so, yeah. So I think you have to think about your intention. And also that was a way to kind of, just make it very clear that the chapter is not about idolizing money. It's not about being materialistic, although I do like nice things. I like to travel. I like my home to look nice and things like that. But it was just, one, that's what I believe, and two, it was making it clear that this is not what the chapter is about. It's about the fact that we can bring money energy into our lives at any time that we want to, and it's about the kind of changing the perception of how we look at money, and also celebrating the fact that it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, and in our society, a lot of times it's gonna take money to have that power to be able to do the things that we want to do. I know, you know, I believe one of my life's mission is to help as many people as possible. And put simply, money is gonna help me do that.
Yeah.
And there's people that argue that, well, you can help people in this way and that way. Well, I'm trying to help a lot of people. I'm trying to help my whole city. I'm trying to give grants to nonprofits and people that, you know, I'm trying to build schools and scholarships in my name and all that. So I want some money.
You know, that's the thing, is like, I struggle with that only because, you know, not growing up rich, you know, I often think like, man, if I only had money, I could be free. I could just be out here just really doing like everything I wanted to do, and with every, you know, just, you know, go off like, you know, these kids, like these college kids, some of them made like the white Ivy League. They say, oh, I'm gonna go off here. I'm gonna just go travel Europe. And it's like, yeah, like for me, it's like, nah, I'm gonna graduate and I need to get a job and I need to do this and I need to do that. Yeah. And then not only that, you know, providing for the family as well.
Right, yep.
So with the love of money, because they say it's not the love of money, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil, and not necessarily the money. So
I didn't think about that when I named the chapter.
Yeah, no, that's when I was reading it, I was like, you know, like point. That's very true. Like, you can't love money is a resource, and it's not the end all be all.
Yeah, not to be idolized. And that's one of those chapters. That chapter in Love of Celebrity Life is like, sometimes people be like, well, what does that mean? Like, what are you really saying? But I think it's, you know, when they start to read those chapters, they understand where I'm coming from.
Speaking of love of the celebrity life, so with the Love of Celebrity Life, you said that I'm talking about the best of everything in a way that feels authentic to you in that Love a Celebrity Life chapter. So just explain that a bit, because when people see that, it's almost like, because now of course we're in a world where everybody thinks if you're a celebrity you're successful. That's right. But you, in the book, you explain like it's not saying like their things and like their life. It's more so the way they go about doing things.
Yeah. And it's about what feels authentic to you. So one of the examples I give in the book is that, you know, two teachers, a husband and wife, or a husband and husband, or a wife and a wife, who have they're teaching, you know what I mean? And they don't have any children, and they own their home, and they're able to take a vacation or two per year, and they're able to eat out when they want, and they're able to give back to charitable donations. That could be their celebrity life. Like, they're enjoying what they're doing. They have money to spend. They have money to give. And that's, you know, that feels authentic to them. So that could very well, celebrity life doesn't mean that you're jet setting around the country. It just means that you're enjoying your life, and you can afford to do the things that you want to do, whether that's eat organic food and have a gym membership and be able to, you know, some of these things cost money to go. You know, a yoga class might be $20. You know what I mean? So that's really what it's about. What is authentic to you? And if something more extreme is authentic to you, having a mansion and jet setting around the world, and I, like myself, I want to own a home in Reading, in New York, and Puerto Rico. And it's about realizing that I can do that. That's not out of my reach. That, you know, it's gonna take hard work, and it's gonna take determination and organization, and making sure that, you know, all my ducks are in a row. But it's really, I wanted to instill in people that anything that you want is not outside of your reach. That you can really get anything that you want, and to do it in a way that's authentic to you. So if you want to live on the beach, which I do, go for it. You can do it.
I think that the key to that is what's authentic to you. You know, now we live in the Instagram era, so, you know, and I'm guilty of it. I'm scrolling through my Instagram, and I'm seeing like everybody living their life, seeing Gabrielle Union and D-Wade. Like, you know, you just like, man, like, why you sitting on the couch, you know, like they on their yacht, and you just like, man, like, what am I doing wrong? But, you know, I think it's a matter of stepping back. So, like, how do you find, like, how do you separate what's authentic to you versus this is just what I'm seeing right now and it looks cool?
Good question. I think that just comes with knowing yourself and listening to yourself and thinking about, okay, what's giving me joy? Is this giving me joy, or is this just like a quick little high, a quick little fix? You know what I mean? Are you really happy? Are you really enjoying this life that you're creating for yourself? And I think that comes with, well, I believe some young people are doing it as well, but I just think it comes with knowing yourself and what is it that you really want.
It all goes back to loving yourself, like really loving yourself.
Yes, that's why I started that's why I started the book with that chapter, just because I felt like that was I needed to start there, because it all starts there.
And in the celebrity life chapter, I thought it was interesting when you start talking about taking risks. That's something that they all have done, and that's kind of how they got to where they got to, because they took risks. So in terms of taking risks, you know, how do you know, like, all right, this is a risk worth taking, or versus, no, I shouldn't take that risk, or and then separating fear, because some of it is just like this fear.
Good question. I think it comes back to knowing yourself again, knowing yourself and what you want to do, and I think fear is a big part of it. You know, not taking an opportunity out of fear that another one won't come up, or not taking that trip out of fear that you won't have money. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a combination of knowing that you have to take the risk, being willing to take them, and trusting that no matter what happens, you're good either way. You're good no matter, you know, it may be a setback, but hopefully you'll learn something from it. I tried, and it's easier said than done, but I try to live my life as like nothing happens to me, everything's happening for me. And that's hard. I'm not gonna front like everything, you know, every time something happens, so that's where I immediately go. But I like to think that that's what it comes back to, and like that's the way I try to live my life. But again, it's easier said than done. But
definitely.